welcome to another episode of the Autonomist Lounge. Amaryllis Tiger, line up about 10 shots of the Evan Williams. Let's get started. So much bullshit, so little time. So, Black Twitter is all a Twitter over the Erykah Badu comment. I take that as a bit of an insult. I don't have that need. It's not a biological built-in anything. We are attracted, of course, to certain kinds of looks on people and that kind of thing, or we have a type. And if men didn't socialize themselves to being predators, especially on those who are younger than they, then they would learn the different kinds of things and be a little bit more imaginative in what they should be attracted to or what they would normally allow themselves to be attracted to. Now, Miss Autonomist is going to kill me for saying this, but I like her little crow's feet, or I think that's the expression, the little wrinkles around her eyes when she laughs or smiles. I like age lines on women's faces. I like mama hips. I like all that shit on women my age. I'm typically attracted to women who are closer to my age. That's because I've allowed myself to be. That is also because, let's face it, young women are going to dress in a certain kind of way because they want to attract mainly the men and or boys their age. Because young men and boys, in my opinion, are not that sexually imaginative. So they kind of need provocative clothing and form-fitting clothes to get them to want to step to a young woman and talk. But really, all that other bullshit is really just evo-psych talk, evolution psychology talk, which, by the way, is a fucking junk science. The only people in the world who take that science seriously and will actually start quoting this and that are predators. Yeah, childbearing years, bullshit. I don't want to jump on Erykah. It's really, in my opinion, about the men. It's about the way we've socialized each other to think that we need to want a sports car at 40 and 50 and 60 years old. And we seem to have that same approach when it comes to, well, for us heterosexual men anyway, we seem to want to have that same approach when it comes to women. And it's bullshit. So I feel like this is more about policing men. It is not a natural desire that you can't control. I've seen older women with, fit bodies, attractive bodies. So that's an excuse. Instead of policing young women or girls about what they should be wearing, I think that older men just simply shouldn't be looking at younger women. And especially for those of you that actually have children, especially daughters, you really don't have a fucking excuse. Why don't you just put in your brain, hey, that young girl, oh wait, she's probably 2 years older than my 16-year-old. Speaking of age, last week, while I was watching The Hateful Eight, which was a damn good movie, it's only been in the last 10 years, I've actually come to finally appreciate Quentin Tarantino. I, immediately became a fan after Reservoir Dogs back in the 90s, and then immediately became an anti-fan the moment he did the classic white boy, white artist thing. And that is, as soon as he gets a black audience, he loses his fucking mind. He thinks he has license to say anything he wants because it puts him in good and makes him look hip or whatever. Now, we all know that he and filmmaker Spike Lee have had a falling out over this particular issue. The overuse of the N-word basically was my problem. It wasn't so much the problem that he ever used it. Like, for instance, in Reservoir Dogs, when Mr. Pink basically tells Mr. White and Mr. Blonde how they're both acting like a couple of niggers, I was not offended by that. It lends to the authenticity of who these guys were. because they like to imagine themselves of being somehow better than the criminals of color. That they're more organized, they're smarter, so on and so forth. And, it was an authentic line and it was an authentic scene. I think what happened was as soon as when Tarantino hit the Jackie Brown phase, it was just out of control. And, it was just him trying to prove how fucking hip he was. And I had a problem with that. There's a difference between just the way a writer writes their characters, which I don't have a problem with. If they're rednecks, using racial epithets, again, that just lends to the authenticity of the character. So I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with is when you think that now you've got enough black ears listening to you or African Americans coming to watch your movies or whatever, you think that suddenly you need to be the honorary Negro and you get to have some kind of license over the N-word. It goes beyond artistic license and now it goes into some form of cred. So I thought he was obnoxious during the Jackie Brown years and really going into it. I love his films because if you're old enough, and again, he's closer to my age, he's a little bit older than me, you remember every fucking movie reference that he uses in his films. Because a lot of people say, oh, he's just a rip-off artist and he's a thief. Yeah, but he's a good thief. There's a good difference between a shitty, lazy thief who needs to steal everything from the style of direction of a film. I knew City on Fire when I saw it in Reservoir Dogs. See what I'm saying? But it was still a Quentin Tarantino movie. The characters were still different. The plot was still a bit was far more different. And the way he told the story was far more different. So he's not a complete rip-off artist. So Hateful Eight was, again, just reminded me of those old school, gritty Lee Marvin type movies. I thought it was great. So that's all I got to say about that. And drive home safely from the lounge.